Page 4, Sand Castles. 4/4 time, no sharps or flats, so it's either C major or A minor. Well, let's look at the end. At the bottom of page 5, the last measure you hear, that's C major. We'll go with C majors. One hand at a time to start. Just make sure we got him. The first line isn't too bad because it's just a bunch of half notes. 1 3 1 3. It's okay if you want. You can actually stay there and you can do a 1 3 and then a 2 4 and then a 3 5. So you don't have to move around. I'll leave the fingering up to you. Moving around can be fun, but you can also use some practice at this. Maybe one time you play it, you use one fingering and another time use another. That's not really a good idea, but this is a fairly, this isn't too hard, this first line, I hope. So maybe you can get away with it. Second line, you have way up here. One and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, up. Cross over. Reach down. End of a phrase, lift up. Up, 5 3, and I do a 2 5. You can do a 1 5. There's nothing wrong with it. I just don't like having my hand up here if I don't need it, and I don't need it, so I do that. And then lift up. That's an E. You know that's an E. That's a G sharp E. You know that? Okay. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. See, that C is tied, so hold on to it. 1 and. So that last line again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and. Little finger and reach down. This lets us play this legato with the fingers. I like that. I really do. And then lift up. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Because of these tied notes, rest. And 4, and this is tied forever, whatever, and then you go back down to you don't have to use the thumb on the F if you don't want to. You can use second finger. Just know that you got to reach up to get that little finger on the C. That's what's important. And then fingering, third line down. 4 1. This is actually pretty common, so don't shy away from this, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And then I do a 2 5. You can do a 1 5, it's okay. And then hold the A flat down when you play the D. If that's too much of a stretch, then you're going to have to do a 1 5. Here, and lift up, it's a new phrase. Last line, E flat. And then E natural again, 2, and then here. It's the right hand. Left hand, keep the left hand soft out of the way. It's just all legato. There's no phrasing in the left hand, it's all legato. Connect it as best you can. You can't always connect it, but try to. Let's go down to the third line. Third measure, it's here. Crossover. 3 on the F sharp, G sharp. That's a whole note. And then you can lift up and go down. Hold the last line. That's a whole note. Hold it down the whole measure. I do a 2 1. You can do a 3 1 if you want. It's a personal thing. Make sure you hold these whole notes down. I think you can read the notes, I'm hoping. Let's go down to the third line on page 5. These notes are tied, so that E, hold it down for the rest of the measure, and then add the B, now add the D. Next measure, same thing, different notes. F, then add the C, then add the F. And the fermata, I'm going to hold that 2 counts instead of 1, because I'm going to do this with a metronome. Otherwise you feel it. And then the chords, a C, G, E, and then an E flat, B flat, D flat. See, when I figure out these chords, I spell out the chord. That's what it's called. You start with the bottom note, you figure it out, and then you take the next and you keep working up the chord till you have them all. So the last line, it's an E flat, a B flat, a D flat. I got it. And then we have a D, an A, and a C. And then flatten everything. Just take everything down, each note down a half a step. And then the last measure, and this mess at the end, you have a C, a D, an E, and a G. Isn't that nice? How you finger it is up to you. You do that, you can do that, you can do that. I don't care how you finger it. They're saying this. That's fine. I don't care. Sometimes it's harder for me to aim my little finger. So that's why I tend to use 4 on that. So I don't have to aim my little finger. Then you put the hands together and hope for the best, I guess. Because I've done this forever and I can play the piece anyway, but when you're first starting it, you got to go super slow. It's like in the third line, you might go here. As slow as you got to go to get it. Make sure you hold that down. Then the fourth line, you're here. Hold these notes down. And then it's back to the beginning. Retardando there. You're going to slow down, hang on to that, and then lift up, new phrase, and the alt tempo means go back to however fast you were going before you slowed down. And then here. So you work it out so you can play all the notes and everything accurately. And then we can add, maybe, let's go ahead and add the pedal now. I mean, you can do this in different orders. The phrasing, you get, the phrasing is in the right hand. You do that. Just lift up between each phrase for the right hand. And we'll adjust the pedaling so we can hear this, because they don't. They just do legato pedaling all over, and that covers up the phrasing. So, and the dynamics, I like to do the dynamics last so I can feel them, because otherwise it's all mechanical. I don't like doing mechanical dynamics. So the pedal, overlapping pedal for the most part. So I'm going to push the note down first and then the pedal. Then I'm going to change the pedal, that is lift the pedal up and push it back down, but I'm going to do it after I play the note so it overlaps it. This ensures there's always sound. And then when I start the piece there at the beginning of the second line, I'm going to lift it up so I get silence. And I'm pedaling once each simile means keep doing what you were doing. And I'm pedaling every measure, so I just keep pedaling every measure. Except, this is where I change it, and that is I want to hear the phrasing. And if I legato pedal this going into the second line, I don't hear any phrasing. It's all connected. So I'm going to lift at the end of the second line. I'm going to lift the pedal up with the right hand. The left hand stays down. I'm going to play the left hand legato. Lift the pedal up so we get a little silence in the right hand. So I can tell it's a new phrase. So again. We have a choice. If I lift the pedal up, I lose all this. All I get is that. So it's a question. Do you want to keep this sound as you do that? Or do you want to hear the phrasing? You got a choice. Huh? So if I pedal it the way they're showing, I keep the sound. The last two measures of the third line is here. Going on. Or if I do the phrasing, I lose the sound, but I hear the phrase, it's this. It depends on what sound you like. And at the end of the page, I'm going to lift the pedal up with the right hand. So there's a phrase. It's like taking a breath. Going into the last measure, the first line, I can legato pedal it because I have a rest in the right hand. The phrase is built in. Isn't that cool? And now I'm going to lift the pedal up with the hand so there's a little silence before I go on. Third line down. Here, lift the pedal up with the hands. Change the pedal here after 2 beats. See, they have to give you pedal markings when they don't want you pedaling the full measure anymore, because that's what you've been doing. If you keep doing the simile, that's what you do. So they have to give you pedal markings here because now you've changed it to every 2 beats. So the third line again is here. Here in the lift up. Change again. And I'm legato pedaling this. These aren't really phrases, they're more like slurs. And at the end, the pedal and the hands come up at the same time after you're done with the fermata, which I'm going to hold the left hand note there 4 counts instead of 2 because of the fermata, and the right hand will just hang on for however long it's going to hang on to match it, whatever. Moderato's somewhere in the middle, somewhere in the middle. It's up to you and what do you think in the middle is. And forget the introduction, think about the melody on this. It's not fast, it's not slow, it's just kind of in there. You might be a slightly different speed from time to time. That's okay, I think that's great actually. Shouldn't be playing these exactly the same all the time. And that's how fast you're going to go eventually. You start slow and speed it up. Accuracy is more important than speed. Control is more important than speed. Dynamics, you feel the dynamic. You're starting out kind of soft. There's no real melody. It's all together. It's all the same here. Go up to sort of a medium loud. Back down to medium soft. And now medium loud. That's medium loud. The left hand's soft. You're staying that until you get somewhere at the top of page 5. However, I would not recommend you play the last 3 lines on page 4 all medium loud. You need to vary that a little bit. That's why you get to know the music first so you can feel the dynamics, because you might get a little louder and a little softer. You would tend to get a little softer at the end of a phrase. It's like the end of the end of the second line, the last 2 measures you hear. That C would be a little softer there, and then you can come back up. Now you might get a little louder here. And then a nice contrast, you have a choice. You want to stay there, however loud you were, or do you suddenly want to come down? Because it's a nice contrast to suddenly play the soft. It doesn't say anything, you knew what you want, really. So the 3rd and 4th lines there, medium loud to start. Go up to the baby. Now soft. Get a little soft it there. And I kind of grew a little louder and a little soft. You gotta change these dynamics. Don't just play everything the same. Now at the top of page 5, they're telling you to come back down. To medium soft. They don't tell you to retard. I tend to do that. I just feel a retard there. And then you're back to, there. At this point you'd be medium soft. And that's okay if that's what you want. Now the third line you're going to grow up to loud. Don't get loud until that fermata note. Don't get loud sooner than that. So take your time getting up there. Here, and then lift up everything, a little silence before you go on, and according to what they're saying, you're loud here. And then you're sort of loud, and now sort of soft, and you end it sort of soft. So what they're suggesting is, you have to feel the dynamics is what I'm getting at, so you can experiment with them, but to really know the piece, you gotta feel it. I want to do it slowly just to check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the dynamics. You can play it with me one hand at a time if you want. Just we got to make sure we got the right notes and rhythms, because there's a few notes in here that I tend to want to play the wrong note. I keep fighting it. So I'll give 4 counts. 1, 2, ready, go. Overlapping pedal here. Two.